This is the English Wine Collection's Wine Talks British Business podcast series. This episode is with Natalie Vranken, who, along with her husband Paul Francois, are responsible for one of the most famous champagnes, Pomeroy. After completing her degree at the Sorbonne, she started her own marketing agency at just 22 and went on to run the Montaigne Committee, which was an association of luxury stores in Paris, which included launching the distinguished Montaigne Grape Harvests, a biannual event renowned around the world. Nathalie heads the marketing division of the Vranken Pommery Monopole Group, which holds the distinction of being the largest wine grower in Europe. Additionally, Nathalie is responsible on behalf of Domaine Pomeroy for developing and implementing the company's close connection with art through the Vranken Pommery Foundation for Contemporary Art. Through its patronage, the greatest artists of the world are invited to exhibit their work in the company's wine cellars in Reims. In a wonderful conversation, Nathalie speaks openly about her career and how the well-known champagne house constantly drives forward in innovative ways. Nathalie, tell me about your career. Where did it all start for you?
I built my little company. I was 23 years old, and I started in public relations. And then I created a big event, which was in Paris, called Harvest in the Avenue Montaigne, which was 25 years ago. Very unusual to present tasting between haute couture and the grand vin, as we say, grand vin and grand champagne, of course. And I was very excited and happy to create that big event, which has a good success, I can say. And during that preparation of that event, which was in September, I met the official partner of Cartier, the joaillier, and it was Paul Francois. And since then, we fell in love, and I'm now doing some champagne.
It's such a lovely story. I'm glad you brought up where it began for you. Tell me about when you started out from the university. You had your marketing agency. What did that involve?
I always have a lot of ideas, and I wanted to be able to make them alive. So my first job is to have ideas. I can say that, and I'm very useful for all the people in the company. So it was quite natural for me to do. And I started working with a great American association. They were called YPO, Young President Organization, and they used to have a big and important seminar once a year in a very special country. And I was studying in the French Sorbonne University thesis on the contemporary history of the United States, and how they find me.
Okay.
They find me going to the Sorbonne, and then I started to work, and from a little job which was to help them to book the guide for history, and I started to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I did, and it was done. I was working, and it was over. So I never get back to the Sorbonne, never gave the thesis, and started working.
This must be, I think, before you were a member, which you eventually became a director of the Montaigne Committee, which is the association of the...
I built the committee, and I become the director naturally also, because I had no other opportunity. So it never stopped. So the issue is to be able to promote the Avenue Montaigne. So we create some events. We have, of course, all the social media organization. We do some press events. We do anything we can make the Avenue Montaigne talk about.
Okay. Do you know any particular projects that you can talk about currently?
The next project?
Yeah.
Will be in December. Next December, we will have something called Christmas Montaigne, and that will go from the lighting of the avenue, which is usually around the 23rd, 24th of November until the beginning of January. And at that special occasion, because we all thought that this Christmas will be quite different. So we will present in each of the retailer an exceptional product which has been custom and designed and created specially for the occasion.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So your husband is the CEO of Vranken Pommeroy. What's your working relationship like?
Efficient.
Is he, who's efficient?
I mean, we are working together. We're not doing the same thing. We are not acting, and we have not the same field, but we are very close, and we do everything together. So I'm traveling and making the PR, the presentation. We made half of it each.
Okay.
Most of the time, I know it can be difficult to understand, but we do that quite naturally.
So it's a very good working partnership, then, not just a relationship.
The only thing that you have to understand is that you can't do that if you don't agree to work for him, because you can't have two bosses.
Of course.
It's the only thing. And as far as you understand that there is only one boss, everything is very easy and clear to do.
Can you think of any specific instructions that he's given you which really help you on your way, like a key bit of advice?
I know. There is no instruction. I'm too old now. Sorry if you are disappointed, but there is no instruction. No. It can be advice, it can be way of talking, it can be exchange. We can share, but there is no instruction. No.
That doesn't surprise me. I think that's the perfect response. The champagne industry, which obviously yourself and your husband are so heavily involved, has such a wonderful history of inspirational female entrepreneurs, and particularly Madame Pomeroy, who ran Maison Pomeroy from 1858. Can you talk to me much about her achievements? Because she's had such a big impact.
She had an incredible idea. She wanted to compete and to create something new and different. In your country, it's Queen Victoria. In our country, it's Second Empire.
Okay.
It's Napoleon III. And everything becomes very new. Everything is very exciting. New way of industrialization, creation of electricity, of the phone, and the new avenue. And also in England, the fact that you started to conquer the world, and that idea of the Commonwealth is coming. So she would like to create something which be new and different, and that's why she created Brut, and which is for me the most remarkable part of that. It's that since then, no one never changed anything on a recipe, and all the houses of Champagne are still using Madame Pommery recipe on the side of doing Brut.
Do you know how she came up with that? Because one of my questions was, I've got a quote here that she instructed her cellar master, saying that we need a wine that it must be as dry as possible but not harsh, and it has to be mellow, velvety and well balanced. Do you know the approach they took when she first came up with the idea?
It's the only way was to remove the sugar. It was so heavily sugared.
Okay.
That to have, because the fact is that you have to understand that it was heavily sugared. As in another way, when you were getting on a boat to go to another country, you had the milk which was heavily salt. It was only to protect from the journey. And before she had that incredible idea, the bottles were shipped to the importer, and the importer were stored them in their own country as long as they had to wait until they sold it.
Okay.
So there was the sugar was put to protect, because the idea was to protect the wine. But when you removed it, it was impossible to drink it. So she had to create the entire process to achieve to a perfect Brut. And that was a long process.
Okay, so this was more about maintaining the quality of the champagne when it arrived in other countries.
No, it was like this before.
Okay.
That's why it was so heavily sugared.
Right. So it's very much, as you said, a stylistic choice that she went down.
And then she wanted to remove the sugar to have a fresh wine. So she had to take care of everything from the harvest, decided when to harvest. She had to press, she had to store, she had to keep the wine, to bottle, and she created the cellar. No one has the cellar before she created them. And she said that the bottle will age in her cellar and nowhere else. Before, with the sugar, it was stored in the importer. So she made a very, very incredible revolution in terms of taste, but also in all the organization of the area. Because now, from the harvest to the shipment, the house is involved. It's the creation of Madame Pommery. It was not like this before.
As you say, is very, very much involved with the process, and she's had a big impact on the industry.
But she created the industry.
Yeah.
Because when she said that she had to decide when it was at the time for harvesting, people said, we don't believe that you are right. And she said, I will. So she paid the first harvest to achieve to have the production of the brut in the way that she wanted to have it. So she paid before they cut, to be sure that the only how do you say that? The only thing that she was asking was to cut on the right day with the right degrees of alcohol. So she paid for that in advance.
So you're talking about the harvest dates when she decided to pick the grapes?
Yes. Before that, there was no harvest date. She created the harvest date.
Okay.
Then she created the storage of the wine in her home, in her own house. It was not. It was stay in the vineyard before that. Then she bottled in her domain. It was bottled in the vineyard. No one was bottling in the domain. Then she created the cellar to have the bottle aging in her own domain. Before, the importer was aging the bottle in each country.
And I imagine if the importer's doing that, there's far too many inconsistencies that can arise within the champagne itself. Do you think that a lot of these decisions she made was about maintaining exceptional quality for her brand, her champagne, as she saw it?
It was not exceptional quality. It was a creation.
Okay.
It's something new. So it's something so new that you can talk. Then the quality was there. But she was more in the mood of her time. She wanted to have something fresh, something easy to drink, something which was a pleasure, something which was happiness. And when it's jam, it was not happiness. It was too sugared. So you don't have any pleasure. She wanted first to create something with pleasure. And then, of course, quality arrived. But when you read again the sentence that you read me, she's not asking for quality. She's asking for pleasure and happiness.
Okay, that's such a beautiful way to describe champagne. So she obviously knew exactly what she was doing.
Of course, quality goes with it, but it was not the purpose.
But she obviously she had a bigger ideal, I imagine, by the sounds of it.
She wanted to seduce Queen Victoria, and she wanted to seduce people who want to have something new. It's a new generation. They want to build a new world. They want to have those new things happening. And she thinks that for those people who want to create a new world, they need to drink something which is new too.
So she was very much
and she wants to create something which goes with their dreams. And she wants to create something which can be memorable because it brings you joy.
It sounds very much like she's wanting to create a moment for people. It's pause and appreciate the champagne, whereas before that wasn't the case. This is very much she's putting a big mark on what people should expect from the champagne.
Yes, she wanted the champagne to be part of their life.
Well, I think she's succeeded. She's done remarkably well. I wanted to move on to her daughter, also Louise. Forgive me if my pronunciation is wrong. I was the wife of Prince Guy de Poulignac, who ran Maison Pomeroy after her. Now to the director of Vranken Pommery Monopole. What inspiration do you draw from such great female tradition?
I'm happy. I'm not confused. I'm not afraid. I'm thankful, because if they have not done such things, certainly my generation will have less facilities to be able to build our own career or to achieve our own dreams. So I am thankful, and I also I'm able to I'm happy and proud to talk about what Madame Pomeroy has done, even if she's not part of my family. And it's important, because I think that we should remember there is no future that you can't. There is no future that you build if it's not on a right path.
Yeah. I think it's, as you say, it's having the right foundations, or as you're saying, if you're on the right path, and she's set this up and allowed your husband and yourself to carry things forward. How well do you think the champagne has been, or rather, excuse me, how has the champagne evolved since then?
No one creates something new. It's which is so remarkable.
What about with yourself and your husband? How have you progressed it forward, do you think?
We are now one of the most engaged vineyards in sustainability. We have all the certification. We have Haute Valeur Environmental. We have a very important R&D department with a lot of engineers working in that, more than 12 engineers working in it, behind and next to the winemaker, which is very important, because we need to be able to improve on the remarkable recipe, if I can call it like this, or the process created by Madame Pomeroy. We should now get much more involved in another field. So we are hardly working on that, and we are one of the most engaged house of Champagne on those subjects.
So you're very much involved with the champagne, and perhaps not quite hands-on, but you really are part of it. It's a key part of your life. It's not just something that your family is a part of. You're actually involved yourself.
No, I am in the office every day, if it's the question.
Partly, yeah.
So if it's the question, yes, I am in the office every day.
Yeah, working hard with champagne. It's wonderful. I've got here that so Madame Chirac, obviously former First Lady of France, once gave you some advice. I just want to make sure I get this quote right, and please correct me if it's wrong, but you must always be rigorous in life and work. How important was that advice for you?
It's a little bit like your queen. Never complain. It's a little bit like this. Those very powerful women, or those women, I don't say that powerful is important.
Yeah.
I would say more than those ladies who dedicate their life to their duty, whatever the duty is, if it's from God, like the Queen, or if it's because your husband is elected as President of the Republic, or whatever. All those ladies always have one issue, one key issue is to have everything continue to work. And I think that was very important. You should be responsible.
So
you should act responsibly.
So she was saying that you have to be responsible for your own acts and make sure you work and put it in, simply.
It's the only work every day. Where are you today? At the office. Where were you tomorrow? At the office.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's sometimes the simplest advice is the best advice, really.
And you don't have to wait for the other to give you either the idea or doing things. It's your job to be there, to help, to promote, to push, to give ideas, to help, to receive the visitor. Before all that terrible disease, we had 145,000 visitors a year at the Domaine.
I've got here that a quote again is that one of the things that you've said, most important things, which following on from that, is about listening to what people have to say. Who are you listening to now? Excuse me. Is there anybody that's giving you some key advice or helping you to steer your work and Vranken Pommery Monopole forward? Apart from your husband, perhaps.
That's, of course, it's necessary. It's necessary. Always, even if I don't receive instruction, I have to listen, that I understand, and that I do it. I would say that to create the contemporary art exhibition 15 years ago,
yes,
definitely helped me to understand better the world of tomorrow. Because when you have the opportunity to work with artists, curators, museum directors, any kind of those people, help you to understand the world where you're living and what can happen. So they open you the field of the future, and that is certainly very interesting. I had also the opportunity to meet some other wonderful women, and it's important, I think, but to be curious is the key.
Yes, it's a lovely
Even
way.
If you don't understand or if you don't know, you should go and listen.
Absolutely, I think that's a wonderful way of putting it, is to be curious. I'm glad you brought up the experience Pomeroy, which is the art that you guys do. Can you tell me about that and how it works?
It's a big exhibition, which is once a year. It's something like around 25 to 35 different artists. They work in situ and they create a piece, especially for the seller. And it's also around a theme which is given by a curator. And it was, I'm sorry, I have to say, it was one of the most important successes. And it was a beautiful adventure. So I don't know what's going to happen now, but we had more than 1,200 people a day. Today we have 35, 37, 40. It's quite difficult to talk about tomorrow so far.
Yes, of course, but hopefully things will change. But it sounds like it's a very important project for you, though.
It was. For 15 years of my life, it was really a very important project. Now we'll see. Maybe it will give birth to another project.
Yes, well, speaking of which, perhaps another equally important and exciting project is your venture into English sparkling wine. Tell me about that. Where did the idea come from to buy some land in England and produce a sparkling wine?
Oh, that comes from the laboratory. Yes. We started a few years ago a quest, I can say.
Yeah.
And because it has always been challenging for us of Champagne to say, I don't talk to sparkling. I'm not a sparkling. We are Champagne. Champagne has nothing to do with sparkling. How can you just put the two together? It's impossible. So. But always being listening, it's true that it changed. And because of all the progress of the winemakers and all the technique and the vineyard and everything, sparkling become attractive. Sometimes even sparkling becomes sexy.
Yeah.
We are pleasure, happiness, emotion. We are memories of your life. We are a lot of things, but sparkling can be that pleasure. So listening to that, it was important and interesting to understand how it works. So we started to make the quest of the most perfect Chardonnay to elaborate sparkling. So we started in Napa Valley a few years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we had that question, which was the chuck. because the Chardonnay, the most beautiful Chardonnay, Argentina, Napa, everywhere we go, it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing was missing, the chuck.
Okay.
So we started the sparkling in England. So it's different. It's vineyard, 40 hectares. So it's the beginning. It's the we will have the second harvest. If nothing happens, it will be less froze than last year. But I don't think that there will be a lot. But it's England. But it's not commercial. It's not issue. It's just to understand, and it's also to have like the Clos Pompadour inside the Domaine. Pinglestone will be as important, I guess, for me, in my opinion, and especially in Paul's or my husband's opinion. Pinglestone will be as important as the Clos Pompadour.
So just so
to understand how it works.
Yes. So sorry, just so that the
and
listeners.
I don't know if you had the opportunity to taste, but it's quite amazing.
No, it is, and I was just going to say for the listeners, Pinglestone is referring to the vineyard in England. Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we sell it.
It's not. It is not made to take the place of another one. It is not made to replace. It is not made to have another and to say no, please. It is just made because you have chuck. It was interesting, and it's 40 hectares. So it's really, when I say the laboratory, it's the laboratory. But
Okay.
it's, in terms of tasting, amazing, very interesting.
So it's just part of a constant evolvement, a desire to improve, which is, as you say, why you have vineyards around the world, not just in Champagne.
No, exactly. And to see what we can have with our technique, with our progress, with our R&D, with all the engineers, what can we bring to those beautiful Chardonnay all over the world? So in England, we will have a little of Pinot, because if not, we need to have a fur coat for the Chardonnay, but it's interesting.
That's a lovely way of putting it. What other areas do you see the expansion of the branding? Do you have anything else to let us in on?
Japan.
Sorry?
Japan.
Oh, Japan. Okay, so
Yeah.
can you say a bit more?
Hokkaido.
Uh-huh.
Because in Hokkaido, you have 2-3 meters of snow on the vineyard each year. It could be wonderful to understand. Very interesting. Quite difficult because it's an island, and so far we have some terrible restrictions in terms of importing the vineyard. So it's not so easy to do, but we still believe in it.
Okay, but is it planted?
No, not yet, because we have to have the habilitation of the government.
Okay,
and
I
for
see.
the moment, authorization on the fact to import plant in the island is very low. It's like 10 plants each year. So we need to make an hectare. You need to have 10 years.
Oh, okay.
We need to see. It's not finished.
So what about for you personally? What are your future plans?
I don't know. I don't think I will have another one.
Just work, is it?
Yeah, so far. Nobody knows. Maybe I will have a good idea tonight, but talking to you now, what is that? 6:30 in Reims? No other idea.
Okay. I was wondering, with the wealth of experience that you and your husband and your family have gained, do you have any particular advice that you would pass on to anybody getting into the wine industry?
It's unpredictable because it's nature. It's not so easy. 10 years ago, it was quite fashionable. You would become an actor, and you had your own properties. Sting is making wine in things. So when you are a rock star, what easily helps you is to be on the cover of Wine Spectator or Fine Wine things.
Yeah.
But it's not helping you to sell anything. It's a long journey. You need to refuse a lot of compromisation, especially to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to keep your brand where you want, but it's so fascinating, passionate, and you have such the opportunity to talk to so different people. And even if it's once in their life, they will remember your brand because champagne is part of all our memories, and that is give you back on any kind of hard work that you can provide even for your entire life.
It's very special saying you're part of somebody's memories like that. Natalie, it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for putting aside the time to speak with me today. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention before we wrap up?
It's wonderful to walk into the vineyard, to listen to the people working in it, and then to be, that was before, but to be 2 days after that in the terrace in Sydney, and to have a lady seated next to you saying, sorry, just drink Pomeroy. I mean, that gives you back from everything. It's just incredible. Thank you for calling me.
No, not at all. Thank you so much for putting aside the time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.